Okay, guys, really quick. I've said some of this before, but I'm going to say it again and try to make it even more simple. This is just my Twitter. I asked the question, will the discount on ICSA price during auctions or the yield returns in the ICSA pool during auctions be greater? I'm basically predicting that the ICSA to hex parity that we've had roughly remain is going to be broken during the auctions. I think people are going to take advantage of the buyback, and some of those people that get their ICSA from the ICSA buyback are going to sell their ICSA. You can see here, this is from Dev Huey's cool chart, his website here. He's gone through and basically laid out a lot of the HSIs that have come in so far, and you can organize, for example, by largest HSI. And you can see that we've got a number of 10 million hex HSIs and some just really big HSIs, and it doesn't take a lot of those, or really even just if one of those people decides to use the HSI buyback and sell their ICSA, that could be relatively impactful on that ICSA parity. For example, if a 10 million hex HSI goes through the HSI buyback, they're going to get around about 300,000 ICSA from that. And if we look, for example, at what the current supply of ICSA is on the market, it's only 541,000 ICSA on the market. And you can just see that. I'm not saying that any of these 10 million HSIs are going to be dumped on the market through ICSA, but it's just an example of the idea that this could happen. And, you know, that's over half of the current supply of ICSA on the market. And I think that could be pretty impactful. And so if they dump it, what's basically going to happen is the HSI buyback, you're not going to get your much value for it. And that's a potential problem because it's going to stop people from using the HSI buyback unless ICSA is bought. But another observation is, like, how do you take advantage of this happening? And I simply see one thing is, if you think this might happen, then save some funds to buy at a discount. And we can look here too, if I can find this, we can see that, like right here, we had a drop from 31 hex per ICSA down to 19 hex per ICSA. And like one thing someone could do is put some really low limit orders in on ICSA, so that if we have another drop like this, which the more I think about it, the more I think it's likely, and that this is going to happen. And one of the reasons I think that is, I guess one of the reasons I would think this won't happen is because it doesn't make sense to dump that much ICSA on the market and drop the price as much as that would do. But we see that happens a lot. For whatever reason, people decide to market sell, and it only takes one person with a lot of ICSA market selling to really drop that price. And as I was trying to say, one of the things you could do to take advantage of that is just set some really low limit orders. And, you know, you might, like, I don't think a drop from 31 to 19, that's a really big, relatively short-term drop in ICSA price. I don't know that I wouldn't be surprised if we drop more than that, if one of these guys just sells. And that is the way to take advantage of it. If you think the projects are good and you want ICSA, is save some funds, put some limit orders in low, and absorb that. Or you could just wait for it to drop and see how far it goes and be ready to buy then. But I do think for the health of Hedron and ICSA, we do need the ICSA parity to be bought back up. If we drop down, I'm just making up numbers, but if we drop out of parity like 50%, it's probably going to stop people from dumping ICSA, which is fine, but it could stop people from using the HSI buyback. And that means that we're not having, I tried to explain this here. So I wrote igloo, bamboo, this crazy, this is just how crazy the contracts are. But I said the more people are aware of this, the more they're likely to take advantage of buying ICSA. And that's partly what I'm trying to do is like, guys, this might happen. We might have an ICSA dump after the auctions start, but if we can have people with funds ready, then they'll have an advantage. Like you and I will have an advantage because we're getting ICSA at a better price theoretically. That's a good thing in my mind. But also we're helping raise the ICSA to hex parity back up. We're bringing the price of ICSA back up again after one of these big sells or a couple big sells. And if we can keep that price up, then it's probably going to give us more HSI buybacks than there would have otherwise been, which is great because that causes, if there's more HSI buybacks, there's more HSI liquidations in the future because the HSIs that are given to the buybacks come back to be liquidated. And if that happens, we have more hedron burn and the supply is limited and the price will probably rise. And yeah, anyway, I'm hoping this is making things a little bit more simple, but I basically see that it doesn't take a lot for one of these or a couple of these bigger HSIs to go through the buyback and dump their ICSA for the pair to be broken. Could be a good buy opportunity. And I see for the health of the projects, we do need, it doesn't have to be instant, but we do need the parity to come back. And the faster we can get it to come back, the more bullish long-term I am for these projects. And I don't think a lot of people have really recognized that this might happen. And so I'm trying to draw extra attention to it and putting extra focus on it because I think it's important for the contracts. And I think it's something that it could help people if they're at least aware of this. You can do whatever you want. You can decide for yourself if you think this even makes sense at all. But I'm just trying to share my thoughts on it. So anyway, guys, wanted to try to make this a little bit more clear. Thank you for watching. Talk to you in the next one.